Hi, so this is part 2 of my how to change strings on a Breedlove video. Was just going through the process and I had to pause so that I could work on this, make it a little faster for you, but my phone decided to cut it off. So, here I am, going through the process here, and I got to the third string, and I thought I would kind of point out what I was talking about. So when you are doing this, you want to make sure that you are actually turning clockwise when it's facing you, but like so the pointer is closer to you are right now than it is to me, and so I'm turning it clockwise in relation to me, but if you're looking at how my hand is moving, it is going to look like counterclockwise to you. Make sense? I hope so. Basically that's the idea, and you want to make sure you're rolling and that you have those notes that are not the right notes. Make sure you understand that one, but are not buzzing. That's at this point, that's what matters. So you want to keep going. Remember just to bend the tips even on these smaller strings. So just bending the tips of them. Running them through. One thing I'm going to point out now is something I see a lot on not just the high strings, but all the strings, and quite frankly, I don't understand. So the way I'm showing you how to do it is to, after you run the strings through the post, to lock it in with what I call an S curve, as it's been taught to me. One thing it's very important not to do, which I see do more times than probably should, is to take the strings and tie a knot when you have the slack in with the actual string ends. Don't do that. That's bad policy, and it doesn't look very good either. The way to ensure that you don't need to do that is, one, doing the S curve like I showed you in the first video, and then making sure when you're winding the string that it goes over the nut through the slot and that it is underneath the coils. I'll show you what I mean in just a minute. Let me just get this going real quick. Okay, so what I mean by under the coils is, if you look at, I'm going to take you out of here. So if you look at the 6th string here, should be able to see how the coil going to the nut is beneath the coil for the rest of the string, which is kind of the point here. And that makes sure that your tone is overall greater. It helps increase your sustain of the string. How? I'm not entirely sure. It just does. I've noticed a difference, and it increases the strength. Once again, I'm not entirely sure the reason it does that. It just does, as far as I'm aware. But you want to keep going with the coils. Last string here is the high E. You want to just keep going. One thing I didn't point out on the starting at the G string, when you are, actually no, I'll show you when I'm done with all this. What I'm basically getting to is, when you are restringing the strings and you're putting them through the post, you want to go from the center of the headstock out. So you never want to go, you always want to go from the headstock, like down the nut, the headstock, and out either side of the string. You never want to come in. I've seen that happen as well. Not a good thing. It really can tamper with how strong the string is when you're putting it at funny angles, because the greater the string break, the higher the tension necessary to hold it there, and the higher the likelihood that you can snap a string by pretty much doing nothing. Under the coil. Okay, so at this point, you've got all 6 strings in the guitar. You have them in the headstock and wound so that they don't buzz. Definitely out of tune though. And then you have all this gobbledygook up here. Secondly, next step, what you need is some sort of tuner. I have an LR Baggs preamp on my guitar. It's got a nice chromatic tuner I really like. Most acoustic electric guitars will have some sort of preamp with a tuner. Not all of them, don't quote me on that. So otherwise, a clip-on tuner works great. I use Snarks when I need a clip-on. But basically what you want to do is you just want to go through and tune all these strings up to pitch. Since you already brought them so they don't buzz, you should be very, very close. Like I just had a little bit ways to go. I was at C and I brought it up to E. And you want to just keep the pattern. One more thing, if you didn't already know the strings you're looking for, low E, A, this is supposed to be a D, your fourth is supposed to be a D, third is supposed to be a G, fifth, third, second, there we go, is supposed to be a B, and your first string, the very little skinny one, is supposed to be high E. So in case you weren't already aware, there you go. So after that, real quick, you should have roughly in tune. What I do after that is just make sure that everything looks good. You have your posts all taken care of, and then you take your cutters again, and then you just snip off the ends. You want to make sure that you're not cutting them too close, because you don't want the strings to slide out of the post, which will happen if it's done too close to the overall post. Another thing is you don't want it to be too far out. If it's too far out and you reach over there, they will stab you. I have been stabbed multiple times by strings. It's not a fun experience, so I would, unless you'd rather, I'd really suggest not getting stabbed by strings. That's a personal thing, but I mean, if that's what you want to do, go for it. I'm not gonna hold you back. Basically, so you got, basically you have it all taken care of so that it looks clean over here. Got it all restrung. What I always do, just for a good policy, the strings are going to need to stretch, so I just always give it a nice retune. After I do this string, the end cut. And now your guitar is all in tune. That's how to string a Breedlove.